Tonight, new build nightmares. Are Britain's houses fit for purpose?
Quantity is being prioritised over quality, and it always has been.
You spend all this money, you're buying something brand new, you're not expecting the builders coming in and out.
We uncover what sort of state a brand new house is in when builders hand it over.
So this lead is loose. It shouldn't be. It should be fixed. This isn't good enough either.
We also discover the cost of putting right a shoddy finish.
I felt helpless. Who has £21,500 in a bank account? It just felt completely crippling.
And we meet the families who are dealing with disaster.
If I could rewind time, I would not move into a new build, I would not buy a new build property, I would not touch one with a barge pole.
Good evening and welcome to the Tonight programme. For most of us, buying a home is one of the biggest purchases we'll ever make. And with the average price currently over £200,000, we'd hope we get good value for the money we're paying out. But when it comes to newly built houses, complaints about the number of snags and defects continue to run at shocking levels. So are Britain's new homes broken? Ranvir Singh investigates.
Britain is in the grip of a housing crisis. Research suggests that we need to build 3.9 million extra homes to meet the huge backlog of demand. But there are concerns that what's being built isn't up to scratch.
We haven't been building enough homes for 30 years. We need more homes, but we are building them quickly, and we are creating problems for the future by building poor quality homes.
We're currently building around 200,000 houses a year, but according to the annual customer satisfaction survey by the industry body, the Home Builders Federation, an overwhelming 99% of new homeowners report snags or defects to their builder after first moving in. Buyers do have some protection through a consumer code, a 2-year builder's guarantee and a 10-year structural warranty. But such a high level of complaint still suggests a serious industry-wide issue. So are we now in a situation where developers are putting quantity well before quality? And what's the impact on the thousands who are then forced to deal with their own new build nightmares? Meet Ravi, Hema and baby Joshin. They've just completed on a 4-bed detached house worth over £500,000 on a Taylor Wimpey development in Ebbsfleet, Kent. They've only had the keys for a couple of days, but already they've begun to notice issues with their dream home. How do you feel about some of the little things you found? Because I know you found a few snags, haven't you?
Yeah, there are a few issues that we've come across. Not what you'd expect when you're paying this amount of money for such a beautiful property.
So how many snags do you think you've found yourselves so far?
I'd say about 20.
Yeah, 20 to 25.
As we're going around, I seem to be picking more up.
And how does that make you feel about your dream house experience then?
Hopefully it will work out.
I'm trying to remain positive.
Ravi and Hema might already have discovered upwards of 20 problems in their beautiful home. But just how many snags would a professional eye be able to spot in this brand new property? Paul Frost is a super snagger.
Hi, I'm Ravi. Nice to meet you.
Hi, Ravi.
With almost all new build houses being handed over with flaws, buyers are increasingly turning to professionals like Paul to help bring developers to task if they deliver an inferior finish.
In an ideal world, nobody would have to do this sort of snagging. But the reality is that houses are built just too quickly. Developers throw them up, so corners get cut. That's why we come along, because the homeowner doesn't have the trained eye like we have. We put our heads behind the toilets, we put our heads under the cupboards, we climb on top of things, we look everywhere.
But what sort of problems will Paul find in a home costing over £500,000? We'll find out once this new house has been checked from top to bottom. 42% of buyers report more than 10 problems with their new home.
Pretty sure that's not going to be happening.
Some, of course, are more serious than others, but experts agree that when it comes to the building industry, consumers are getting a raw deal.
The system is very much favouring the developers over the buyers. When you're buying a new home, you're handing over all your money. You can't even decide when it's going to be finished, when it's going to complete, and then that's it. You can become a problem, not a customer.
Quantity is being prioritised over quality, and it always has been. House builders are interested in their end-of-year figures and impressing the stock market more than they are about building a house that they can be proud of. And that goes down from the CEO at the top right down to the man on the site. And it's wrong.
For some buyers, the snags with their new build homes are so serious they can dominate their lives from the day they move in. Paul Smith bought his new house on a Morris Homes development in Loughborough in 2017.
So, Paul, can you remember the sort of excitement the day before you were going to move in and what you were expecting?
We got sold the dream of having no problems. You can walk straight into a house where you don't have to do any work, and that's far from what we got.
I saw the sign outside as I came in. What's all that about?
From day one, we've had drainage problems. The water will come up in the toilet and it will stay there and it will not go back down. There's a smell in the house. After a week or two, we had to have the garden excavated. The drainage hadn't been fitted according to plan.
The serious problems with the drains in the house mean they require weekly maintenance, something which has had a major impact on both Paul and his young family.
I had to spend the first 4 months of our time in this house manually clearing my own waste and my neighbour's waste from my drainage, otherwise my drainage would block. And even with Morris Homes now taking on that role of cleaning the drains in a preventative manner, we still have to evacuate the property at some points in time when the drains do block. That happened last around about Christmas time. We abandoned the property. My son was forced to sleep on the floor of my mother's property. My son is a complicated boy. He has magnetic spinal rods. We have to keep his back healthy. For them to have to sleep on the floor is not good for his spine or his recovery.
Have you got any theory as to why you think they've left it this way?
It's quite baffling. The most ironic thing is, if I just take the site plan and I turn it upside down, it now actually closely resembles where the drains have been put in my house.
So you think they literally have just got it the wrong way round?
It looks like the plans are upside down. I can't confirm that that is what happened, but I can confirm that there are striking similarities with an upside down plan and where my drains have been fitted.
Paul has been in dialogue with the developers of his estate, Morris Homes, since moving in. But so far, the problems with the drainage in his house haven't been fixed.
I want what I was sold and what I paid for. It was supposed to be a dream home, but it's more of a house of horrors. If I could rewind time, I would not move into a new build, I would not buy a new build property, I would not touch one with a barge pole.
Morris Homes told us they accept mistakes were made with the drainage. They say sorting out what they call a complex problem is a priority, but claim there have been issues with access to the property. Mr. Smith disputes that. Solicitors for both sides are now dealing with the matter. But major snagging issues in UK new builds aren't just limited to bad drainage.
We're seeing problems which are really, really serious to people, and people that they won't notice when they move in. So, for instance, a lack of insulation, which might only appear when it gets cold, or a lack of fire protection. These things that are actually, basic minimum standards, and they're not being met and putting people's lives at risk.
In fact, Tonight discovered there are more and more homeowners reporting missing insulation in their new build properties.
I've had a lot of people write to me whose children have been ill with asthma, and it's down to spores from mould. Once the moisture's in a house and it's cold and the walls are cold.
We also discovered multiple reports of new housing estates where homes have been found to be missing crucial fire barriers.
Fire protection basically is to allow the fire brigade time to get there and put the fire out. It's deeply concerning for buyers when they buy a house and find out that cavity fire barriers are missing. Obviously it's got health and safety implications, especially when they're ones that are potentially life-threatening.
Since the tragedy at Grenfell in 2017, nowhere has the risk of fire been more sharply felt than by those residents of high-rise buildings. James and Amy moved into their own city centre apartment in Manchester in 2016.
My parents both passed away, and we wanted to use their inheritance as something that could be kind of positive because we don't earn great money. We wanted to have a little bit of security for the future.
We were so excited, but yeah, it was our dream flat, to be honest.
But after the terrible fire that claimed the lives of 72 people at Grenfell, James and Amy's dream apartment soon became a nightmare. Following the tragedy, an independent survey was carried out on the couple's building to check if it met safety standards. It found that the cladding on the building had been installed incorrectly and fire barriers were missing.
I feel this building just isn't safe. We're not sleeping. Because of the lack of sleep, we're getting more stressed. And it's just this perpetuating, awful nightmare that we're living in right now. It's a scary situation to be in.
The government has created a fund of £600 million to replace the cladding on privately owned buildings with the exact same type of cladding as that on Grenfell. This doesn't cover James and Amy's building, though, which has a different type. But if the couple thought the cost of living in a safer home would be paid for by the freeholder, who they pay ground rent to as leaseholders, they were in for a nasty surprise.
We were told that it would fall to the leaseholders to pay for this. It's within our lease that all remedial works will be covered by the leaseholders, and that's exactly what this work is. It's deemed remedial work.
The badly installed cladding is due to be replaced, with the work set to total around £2 million, split between the leaseholders of the building.
We were shocked, but we pictured maybe a couple of grand. We'll find the money somehow. And then a couple of days after that, a bill of £21,500 dropped on our doorstep, and we were just stunned.
I felt helpless. I just felt, how does that happen? Who has £21,500 in a bank account? I mean, I've never had that in a bank account. So it just felt completely crippling.
The developer that installed the faulty cladding is no longer in business, and as the building is more than 10 years old, there is no valid warranty.
You can't do a survey when you buy a flat on the outside of the building. So how were we to know we were buying something that just wasn't fit for purpose? It's just astonishing, really. And then that we have to pay it to make safe is just, it's just unjust.
I just feel angry because someone's built a building incorrectly, they've done a shoddy job, and then leave it to us normal people to be financially crippled, and it's going to change our whole future.
Homeground, the company who act on behalf of the building's freeholders, told us safety is their priority and that they'd worked with the fire service, putting in extra measures to make sure the building was safe. They also say they are aware of the financial burden for residents and are working hard to reduce costs, including offering interest-free payment plans. And Rendell & Rittner, the company that manages the building, said work to remove the cladding was now scheduled, but due to the age of the building, the 10-year warranty has expired and the building's insurance doesn't cover these defects. They say residents have been kept informed on a regular basis and have been made aware of what they have to pay as part of their leasehold agreements. Back at Ravi and Hemmer's brand new house in Ebbsfleet, super snagger Paul is in full flow, checking out how many issues there might be with the property.
So this lead is loose. It shouldn't be. It should be fixed. This leads us to a problem where you could get water coming into your garage or into your home. There's also very weak mortar inside here. This isn't good enough either.
Paul seems quite busy.
Yeah,
doesn't he?
He's been here for a few hours now, and it does make you question if he's been here this long. There must be stuff he's finding. It's interesting because when you walk into a show home, everything is so perfect.
Yeah.
But when you walk into your own home, you find issues which aren't so perfect.
And outside the front of the house, Paul has found a serious snag, which he thinks should be a priority for Ravi and Hemmer.
OK, so if we look at the ridge tiles on the top of the garage, you can see that in between each ridge tile, there's a clip, and that's held it down. But when you look at the main roof tiles, you can see that those clips are raised. That presents a problem to me because I think that the ridge tiles could become loose and that would be dangerous.
It's another thing to add to Paul's growing list of complaints about the new house. We'll find out just how many problems he's counted very soon. If snags continue to be an issue with our new build houses, maybe it's time to consider a different way of putting them together. And here in Corby, Northamptonshire, they're doing just that.
Although this site may look a little different, this is the future of construction for the UK.
This is Joseph Daniels, the 28-year-old boss of a construction company, building 47 homes of the future here on this development. The big difference with these houses is there's not a brick in sight. Instead, they're constructed from factory-made panels that simply click together.
We take a bit of the outside board, we click it into place, we glue it, we lock it in, and you move on to the next panel.
This type of construction is called modular housing. It's on the rise in the UK, and one of the major advantages of its panelling system over a traditional new build is that these homes can be put together much more quickly.
These took between 7 and 9 days per unit to put up. Some brick houses can take up to 6 weeks. It's simpler, it's faster, and it's more efficient.
Joseph's company is at the forefront of the move to modular housing, and solving the UK housing crisis has been a passion for him from an early age.
I come from a bit of a broken home family. I've been in, refuges and homeless shelters throughout my life. It kind of made me ask the question, why don't we have high quality housing? And that's what set me off on my journey. So this whole drive is actually about building quality homes for the masses.
As well as modular housing being quicker to construct, Joseph's houses have also been designed to be 25% bigger than government guidelines, and their eco-credentials include meeting zero carbon standards and embracing renewable energy. They even cost the same as a traditional bricks and mortar house in the area. The downside is that there are some doubts about whether they will hold their value in the same way as a regular house as they age. But Joseph thinks the pros outweigh the cons.
It's always been about speed over quality, and now in the current age we're able to get speed and quality. Our aim is to be building a house of the future today, and we feel like we've achieved that.
At the moment, modular housing accounts for around 7.5% of new houses built in the UK every year. And the government has said it wants modular construction to continue to play a part in their target of building 300,000 new homes a year. It looks like flat pack houses are here to stay. But until that becomes a reality, home buyers are stuck with the usual bricks and mortar new builds that dominate the market, and the snagging nightmare that many find themselves in. One solution which has been put forward is the idea of a snagging retention fee, where home buyers hold on to part of the cost of the house to put right any problems they find upon moving in.
The Homeowners Alliance Hold Back Cash campaign is saying that people who are buying a new home should hold back a percentage of their purchase price for a year. This happens in the commercial sector, so people who are building big buildings, they have a snagging retention, and that will really give more teeth to the consumers, so at least they've got that money set aside to pay to get things right, and hopefully it will encourage the developers to build right first time.
There's also an argument that the government needs to do more to regulate the building industry and protect consumers. The idea of an independent new homes ombudsman has been talked about, but so far nothing has been introduced.
The one measure that the government can introduce to improve the plight of new home buyers is a new home ombudsman. Everybody who's got a problem with their builder after a set period of time could refer their complaint to an ombudsman, much the same way as the Financial Ombudsman Service works. I'm appalled that the government hasn't actually done something constructive to get it created by now, and I don't think that's right.
Housing Minister Esther McVey told us the government knows more needs to be done to protect consumers, and they are currently consulting on the design of a new homes ombudsman, which will protect the rights of home buyers and hold developers to account. And the body that speaks for the industry, the Home Builders Federation, commented that they believe the majority of people are happy with their new homes. While minor snags are not uncommon, major problems were rare, and it's the builder's responsibility to rectify those issues. They also said that they were committed to driving up standards and helping to put in place a new homes ombudsman to enhance protection for customers. Until something changes, though, couples like Ravi and Hema will need to take on the builders of their house by themselves if they find snags they aren't happy with. But exactly how many problems has our super snagger uncovered?
Paul, do you want to reveal to Hema and Ravi how many snagging issues you've actually found during your inspection of this brand new house?
As beautiful a home as it is, 363.
Gosh, compared to the 20 that I thought I'd picked up.
Paul, what's the most serious thing that they should be worried about right now?
I think the most serious thing for you to consider at this moment is your roof. On your roof you've got some ridge tiles. There is the potential for those to come off, which could impact on your property, your car, people passing by. So that could be dangerous. So we need that looked at priority.
That's worrying as a health and safety issue because we've got a newborn baby, and if one of those were to fly off and hit him as we're taking him out of the car,
yeah,
God knows what. So yeah, it's a big concern for us, I think.
And I don't want to scare you that your house is falling down. It's not a case of that. You've got a very well-built house. You've just got a lot of snagging issues that need to be put right.
Yeah. You both bought this house as your dream family home. Right now, does it still feel like a dream home?
I do feel kind of deflated at the moment, to be honest. Dream home is there, but there's a big level of anxiety as well.
Developers Taylor Wimpey said these snags were highlighted before the company had carried out its own final completion checks. They told us they've now met the family to discuss how to resolve the issues as quickly as possible. While many were minor and the majority have been dealt with, they're sorry the couple hadn't had the experience they'd hoped for. Taylor Wimpey say this isn't reflective of the high-quality standards they strive for.
Can I ask you, Paul,
yeah,
knowing what you know, would you ever buy a brand new off-plan home?
I own an off-plan brand new home.
Oh, wow.
And we had serious problems with our home, and it's been ongoing for the last 5 years, believe it or not, and we've reached the point now where my developer has agreed that they're going to almost completely rebuild it. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's just sent shivers down my spine.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, there we have it. If even a super snagger can find themselves caught up in their own new build nightmare, what hope for the rest of us?
The system is failing because you spend all this money, you're buying something brand new, fresh and clean, you're not expecting the builders coming in and out. Buying a car that you're not happy with, you can return. Buying a toaster, you can return. You cannot return a house. So you've really got to go in with your eyes open.
If you'd like more information about tonight's programme, just visit our website at itv.com/tonight. Until next time, good evening and thanks for watching.